All right, and we're live. And what day is it, Cameron?
Totar Win Thursday, my
Wow.
friends. Uh-oh. Stop it.
It, it didn't go right. I'm going to try again.
Got it? Got it. Oh, jeez. So much wang.
I wonder if I've just got too much shit happening over here for that. All right, so, well, what happened yesterday, everybody? Well, it's over. It is completely over.
Picture taken from last year's State of the Union, not this year's, because
Right, because she skipped the clam bake this year.
the clam bake. Is that like the clam bake, or is that like Democrats just wearing colors they've always been really good at wearing?
Uh,
That's a KKK reference.
yeah, it's a very specific KKK reference. Uh, from the Democrat National Convention in 1924.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that clan bake.
Oh, well, gosh. If you don't just learn something new every day.
Yeah, that's a Democrat thing. It's what they do. Um, I'm just going to take a quick peek over here and see. Uh, nope, they didn't disable us for that. Amazing. So yes, this is from when the KKK attended last year's State of the Union address. Um, it, I mean, the State of the Union was an absolute masterstroke this year, and then kaboomal, he's acquitted. It's over. All right, there's the headlines. Boom, 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 boom. Right, right, right. So, um, we're going to talk about a couple of things for the State of the Union if we have time today. But the big takeaways. Let's just talk about the big takeaways from the impeachment debacle. Right. So the Donald was acquitted yesterday, and there was never really a big. It was never mathematically possible, probable. It was never mathematically probable that they were going to achieve conviction because the Senate is not quite, but just about 50-50 right now, and you need two-thirds vote to convict. Um, every Democrat that I'm gonna be very clear about this too. Every Democrat that voted to convict, that voted guilty on these arguments of impeachment, is a damn liar. Not one of them believes that Donald Trump is guilty of the crimes that he's accused of in the articles because that would require them to not be competent to understand what it means to allege a crime. As no crime was alleged, to vote guilty is to lie. Now, none of us should be surprised that a bunch of Democrats and Mitt Romney, but I repeat
Oops, I said the
myself,
same thing.
lie. I mean, Romney's been lying for years. Every time he mentions being a Republican or puts his name next to an R, he's lying. I hated him when he ran against Obama. I voted for him anyway because I all I could think was maybe the shitbag is better than the communist. It was I can hope that we can replace this our current Mao with a Jimmy Carter. That's what I
Yeah.
that was the best we could hope for in
Oh, that's a
2012.
totally fair assessment. And we've talked about before how Mitt Romney, from a certain perspective, was totally unassailable. All the things you could attack Mitt Romney for, that we do attack Mitt Romney for, the left never touched him on. Instead, they went after all the binders full of women and rich white guy that doesn't understand how the real world, the normal identity politics stuff that they go after.
Yeah, he's uninformed and out of touch with current events, which is why he thinks that Russia is a geopolitical threat. Oh,
Whoops. Yeah, something like that. But this bizarre thing seems to
you know
happen.
it's funny. It's funny. It is incontrovertibly the case that we know it now that that whole thing shook out because Obama was already in bed with Putin.
Oh, yeah. And, we won't play the clip again, but, I'll have a lot more flexibility after the election and all of that. It's just, whoops. But there's some kind of Stockholm syndrome that goes on with these long term Republican politicians because you know when it was 2008, if I handed you John McCain's resume and I handed you Barack Obama's resume and I took their pictures off, I took their party affiliation off and all of that, I just gave you I just gave you the two side by side. Here's the life experience of one, here's the life experience of the other. Which one do you think is better suited to be president? You'd
Oh
pick
God.
John McCain every time. And John McCain was destroyed. He was attacked for everything. I remember in one of the debates, Obama said something, and McCain made a face, and like that's all he did. He made a face, and there was analysis done on how disrespectful his face was. And then, let's just run down the list. You get John Bolton that looks like he's going to, that tried to flip on Trump. And now you got Mitt Romney actively doing things that are probably going to cost him reelection when his seat comes up. Um, and for some reason, despite being at the top of the Republican echelons of power, they're siding with the people that hate them. They're siding with the people that called them racist, bigot, homophobes, war criminals, and the like. And they're siding against the people that supported them. I'd say that there's a huge cross section of people, for example, that voted for Mitt Romney and Donald Trump. And they probably did it for the exact reason that you described. I'll take the greasy politician that might actually repeal Obamacare over the naked Marxist that does what all Marxists do and lies about not being a Marxist. And yet they can't they can't accept that this is the choice that they've made. They still want to go to the media and go, oh, but like me, like me, like me, like me, please like me. Oh, oh. And it just makes them look pathetic. It makes them look pathetic. Rant over.
Okay, fair enough. Um, now there was a little more contention. Uh, I guess we could have had a little bit more bated breath over the question of whether or not we call more witnesses because that was a 50-50 decision. Four Republicans could have defected and that could have been a thing. But even then, even with the additional witnesses, I honestly I was hoping to see them call more witnesses, even though on principle I was against it because a big point there, like no. No, pencil neck. You said you've made your case. If you've made your case and you need more witnesses, then one of your statements is false. Either you've made your case or you need more witnesses. Both of these things cannot be true at the same time. Um, but are we getting audio? I think we just
Uh,
lost audio.
hello, hello.
Okay. Nope, we're there. You muted you, and I couldn't see my levels, and my levels don't come through in the same levels yours do. Okay. So, um, damn, where was I?
Pencil neck, you made your case.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah. So these two things cannot be true at the same. Two things can be true at the same time, but not these two things. Either you've made your case or you need more witnesses. These statements are mutually exclusive. So, but 2/3 majority, that was never going to happen. Given that, since we know that there was never a hope that there was actually going to be a conviction out of the Senate, and we know that the House was so lukewarm on this whole process to begin with that they did not even have the testicular fortitude to allege actual crimes. This is just like this goes back just like the whole collusion narrative with Russia. They kept saying Donald Trump did something wrong. He colluded with Russia. The things that they were trying to suggest should be referred to as collusion are covered by a statutory crime under the U.S. Criminal Code. And that statutory crime is conspiracy to defraud the American people or conspiracy to defraud the American government. They never said conspiracy. They never said conspiracy to defraud. They did not allege that crime because they knew they could not prove that such a crime had been committed. No,
Yeah,
I'm
this is
very
a bunch of
carefully not even,
lawyers.
I'm not even making the statement that he never committed that crime. That is what I believe, but for the purposes of this argument, is that statement is improper because it's a statement of unmitigated fact given an allegation. One of the problems with allegations is it's impossible to prove the negative. Now, that's why when you cannot prove the positive, one assumes the negative for legal purposes. That's why we have the assumption of innocence. Accusing somebody of rape is not the same thing as proving that they raped you. So when you make an accusation, leveling an accusation can never be sufficient grounds for assuming the guilt of the accused. Precisely because he cannot prove his innocence. It is impossible to perfectly prove your innocence. It's almost impossible to perfectly prove one's innocence. A, a perfectly proved alibi perfectly guarantees the innocence, but that means a perfectly proved alibi. So they never took it seriously. It was only ever about the optics. And now here are your optics, Nancy. You pitched a temper tantrum at the State of the Union, and then the only work you've done since 2016 was dismissed out of hand, and rightly fucking so.
F-bomb alert.
Yeah, it's on my list.
Yeah, good job. It's not just it's not just the optics of it though. I really think that the Trump derangement syndrome, we call it Trump derangement syndrome, but it's not really about Trump. It's about me and you. It even goes back to hell. I think it goes back God knows how far, but in my life, I would identify one of the major breakpoints as actually being the 2008 election. You had the hope and change candidate that Yeah, the hope and change candidate that made you feel so good and is gonna.
How dare you?
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Greta. But that's where I'd say the first real big break come because from the left's perspective, there was no reason for us all to not vote for the magnificent Obama. And yet there were millions of people. Yeah, there were millions of people that voted for John McCain, and then there were millions of people that voted for Mitt Romney. And in the interim, that whole Tea Party thing sprang up and swept in so many Republicans into power that it trickled down to local governments. And for a few years there, Republicans literally held more seats total between national and local politics that it broke all the records. There'd never been such Republican majorities across the entire country. Um, and
Well,
then a lot of, well,
before before
yep.
Obama, before Obama, I was not a die-hard Republican. I was I was very interested in politics. I have been for a very long time. But before Obama, I firmly believed that the the most basic correct assessment of the two political parties was that the Democrats were wrong and the Republicans were weak. Um Back then, I might have voted for a Democrat to defeat a bad Republican. Like I might have voted if I knew Romney the way that we know Romney now, back 2004, 2006. Um and I were in a position to vote for a Democrat against him because I had a flavor of his character and it would be better to be involved in his defeat and ouster, then I very well might have gone that route. But with the announcement of the Obama campaign, once I read his book and did my due diligence and my research on him and heard him speak, and he was literally promising the same things that were promised under every major socialist regime, to include gun control. Um, like I wasn't even a big pro life advocate back then. I was firmly pro life, but at that point it had not occurred to me that the agenda of the left and the pro baby murder movement is active baby killing, not just it, back then I just thought that the whole women's choice thing was a bad way to couch an issue because her choice had already been made. I had not yet processed how purely evil that was. Obama was really where I first started to understand that these people, they're evil, right?
At
A,
least,
a corrupt Republican does things for his own benefit to advance himself and may pull some dirty pool in the back and make some shady drug deals to advance his career. And that may occasionally happen at the expense of the people's interest. A modern Democrat doesn't want to advance their career through corrupt means unless it includes causing harm to the American people. The thing that they want individually is to advance themselves in power and wealth while causing harm to the American people explicitly. And if they can't advance themselves corruptly and cause harm, then they will seek another means to advance themselves, which includes causing harm.
yes, that's why I say it's not actually Trump derangement syndrome. There were guys like you and I that saw what were going on and were actually further entrenched in our positions as a result of it. And there's this whole large swath of middle America that went, no, 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 don't, ooh, stop it. You're taking it too far. And Trump correctly tapped into that. And won the presidency arguably on that one fact alone. So yeah, they hate Trump. They hate him. They hate him. But what they really hate are guys like you and me that are like, yeah, okay, sorry, I'm tired of all of this backdoor socialism stuff, and that's what they really hate. That Yeah, they hate Trump, but they hate you and I. This wasn't just about removing Trump from office. It was about telling you and I to piss off, get in line, or we're going to find a re-education camp for you. We are going long. I'm going to request that we get to the final section of all of the Totar wins.
Real quick, let me. Do y'all remember? God, what was his name? That weenie little guy that got caught saying Obamacare, that they designed Obamacare to fail in certain ways because it was meant to uh, force us into single payer. Remember that guy?
I know the guy you're talking about. I don't remember his name, but he
See
was
that,
the one.
but that was a very naked example of the thing that I'm talking about. It he was literally exposed, detailing not just that, but how and why Obamacare was designed. The Affordable Care and Patient Protection Act was designed explicitly to harm the American people and the American medical industry in a very specific way, so that it caused that harm and forced us to adopt the dangerous socialist model, the single payer model.
I think it came to me, Jonathan Gruber.
That's him. That's it. Um,
Yeah, it's okay to lie. The American people are stupid. We have to do it this way. Oh yeah,
and then what was the last thing we wanted to talk about today?
100-year-old Totar Win.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, we deliberately left this out of. Yeah, we deliberately left this out of yesterday's because we just wanted to take a second
Well, and
to.
plus yesterday was all about, kind of that. But
Yeah,
but yeah, Tuskegee Airmen honored at State of the Union address and by NASA. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. That's what we're talking about right there.
yeah, he got brought into the Oval Office and had his stars pinned on him by the president. Like that's can't argue with that, can you?
I actually had a moment when Trump was announcing this and talking about this, and he said, "And in my office earlier, we did the ceremony, and I pinned the stars onto now Brigadier General Charles McGee's chest." And I had a moment where my math broke, and I went, "Wait a minute, Brigadier General only gets one star, Mr. President. You're screwed up." Oh, he's got two shoulders. Okay, I'm here.
But yeah, McGee, dude, we salute you. Like just wow. Because if you do the reading on him, not only did he serve in World War II, but dude,
147 combat missions.
yeah, and the average in World War II was 5. And you know why the average was 5?
Because
you had
dead.
a tendency to you had a tendency to get shot down on your 5th one. So wow. And then he went and served in more conflict in Korea. So like we're talking about somebody that could maybe kill you with his thumb, even at 100 years old.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh yeah.
409 combat missions.
Mm-hmm.
100 interdiction and 173 reconnaissance. Wow.
I don't understand how they make pants big enough for him. But that is all I have this morning. I have little ones that are ready for their Cheerios.
Roger that. Y'all be safe out there today. We'll see you tomorrow. It's time to go to work.
Okay, man. I'm signing out. See
Yeah,
you
man.
later.